안녕하세요. Thank you for coming in from the rain. I actually had a really nice epiphany on this trip. I don't really speak Korean. I'm Korean American, but I'm inspired to get a Korean tutor when I go back home. So hopefully the next time I see all of you, I'll be able to converse with you a little better than I'm able to do right now. So I would like to talk today about core principle themes and ideas that I'm trying to express with this exhibition. But I also wanted to weave in my own personal narrative, which is also very much has shaped this exhibition. I've been working on this exhibition for about 3 years now with my team and of course Gina Lee, my curator, and Peter Ely, my co-curator. I've been thinking a lot about Korea, as broad of a statement as that is, and thinking about how we are all interconnected, even if we are diasporic and there's Koreans spread out all over the world, whether it's Brazil or Japan or what have you. But that doesn't in any way foreclose us coming together and thinking collectively about Korea historically and in a contemporary sense. So I would like to start by playing a little teaser trailer from the exhibition. And we'll start there, and then I will dive into the talk. That was a trailer that was shot by Seoul Studio for Liam. I hope that piqued your interest. Returning to Seoul, I'm here. It's an honor to speak at the Liam Samsung Museum of Art, a place where Korea's rich artistic heritage intersects with contemporary global culture. Standing before you today carries deep personal significance, as it marks my return to Seoul, the city of my birth. Although my family migrated to the United States when I was just an infant, Seoul has always held a very special dual meaning for me, both as an imagined ideal of the motherland and as a place I've experienced through the lens of an outsider. It's a city that feels both familiar and distant, and returning to Seoul as an adult and as an artist, my dear friend Kathy Park Hong brilliantly captures the complex sentiment of being between worlds in her groundbreaking book, Minor Feelings. I don't know if anyone here has read her book, but it was very inspiring for me to read when it came out in 2020. But in this book, she reflects on the subtle dissonances of existing between cultures and expectations. She writes of the internalized feelings of doubt that arise when our external experiences clash with external perceptions. And what that means is that for me, returning to Seoul isn't just about reconnecting with the place, but negotiating between these layers of internal and external experiences. Understanding that belonging isn't a singular, static construct, but it actually exists as an evolving dialogue between the self and the world. The elusive search for home and belonging has profoundly shaped my artistic journey. It's been driven by a persistent sense of displacement. Growing up in America throughout my childhood and into my young adulthood, I moved around frequently, drifting from one place to another, and this constant state of physical and emotional motion left me struggling to find a true sense of belonging. I don't know, maybe some of you here can relate between the cultural expectations of my Korean heritage and the pressures of a very, demanding American society, it left me feeling pretty alienated. It's as if I was asked to perform an identity that I was deeply connected from the deeper roots of lineage and history, but I'm also unable to fully belong to either worlds. I did find myself gravitating towards other creative misfits, if you will, musicians, photographers, designers, who, like me, felt a similar sense of otherness. Together we formed a kind of nomadic community, seeking out spaces where we could exist freely and express our creativity, allowing an alternative sense of becoming to take shape. This sense of displacement I once found painful has, in hindsight, profoundly shaped my approach to both art and life. It has taught me to embrace uncertainty and to recognize that not fitting in can be a powerful catalyst for creativity and liberation from the constraints of predictable outcomes. So living on the fringes, constantly feeling like an outsider, it compelled me to navigate life without the anchor of a fixed identity. And I think identity is important everywhere, but especially here in Korea. And this lack of a defined self was both a challenge and a rich source of creative possibility. The absence of a fixed identity can also in some ways be seen as a privilege, since many people are swiftly categorized by society based on perceived ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, and other markers. So there are lots of complex layers to identity, as we know. And in response, we learn to code switch, adapting our behavior to different social environments. Through this, I've realized that everyone engages in a form of code switching as a survival mechanism, which underscores the idea that identity is a mask, one that we constantly switch because there is no true safety in a static identity. Over time, I've come to recognize that not fitting in offers a unique kind of freedom, one that is accessible only to those who can endure the corrosive self-doubt that comes with being an outsider in a world where identity is often treated as a form of currency. How does one engage with others when their value cannot be easily quantified or potential neatly assessed? This realization led me to understand that the pursuit of stability is often an illusion, and that true growth lies in embracing the unknown, the ambiguous, and the fluid. The concept of the self is intimately linked to the idea of control. But what if we dared to entertain the radical notion that our deepest self is not what we've always believed? Upon closer examination, it becomes clear that our perception of self, typically associated with control and continuity, may be wildly inaccurate. Our identities, far from being fixed, are revealed to be far less under our control and far more fluid than we might care to admit. Central to this understanding of fluidity are the dual processes of metabolism and migration, two forces that have fascinated my art practice from the very beginning. Migration, whether physical or metaphorical, is fraught with risks, exposing one to new dangers and often leaving migrants isolated and vulnerable to exploitation. It does demand a superhuman level of adaptation, revealing the resilience we are capable of and uncovering new sides of ourselves in different contexts. Migration shows us the malleability of boundaries, for better or for worse, as we are forced to redefine who we are in response to the ever-shifting environments and experiences that shape us. Yet, when adaptation falters, the trauma of displacement can ripple through generations, leaving lasting scars on those who struggle to find stability in the face of constant upheaval. And similarly, metabolism is a relentless process that underscores our dependence on and vulnerability to the world around us. Our bodies are in a constant state of exchange with our environment, perpetually breaking down and rebuilding themselves, a process that is as perilous as it is necessary. Metabolism is not merely a biological function. It's a battleground where the forces of life and decay are in constant tension and agitation, where the failure to adapt can have dire consequences. This biological process mirrors our cultural and personal lives, where we're continuously absorbing, adapting, and transforming in response to our surroundings. We can also willfully metabolize ourselves into healthy or unhealthy systems. So metabolism, like migration, it demands resilience. It forces us to confront our fragility while simultaneously driving us toward renewal. It serves as a powerful metaphor for the human condition, a state of perpetual becoming, where every interaction and experience redefines who we are, often at a profound and fundamental level. Fluidity, openness to ambiguity, metabolism, and migration are all central themes in my exhibition here at the Lium Museum. The title, There Exists Another Evolution, but in this one, embodies this sense of latent possibility. And it takes its inspiration as a Zen Buddhist koan. And a koan is a contemplative tool designed to provoke deep reflection rather than to just provide easy answers. So I thought the title should be somewhat playful and provocative. And just as the Buddhist practice of ventilating the ego allows for a deeper engagement with life's complexities, the koan invites us to see evolution not as a straightforward progression, but as a dynamic, multidimensional process. This exhibition serves as a meditation on the possibilities of evolution, personal, planetary, and even technological. It asks us to consider what versions of the world, what versions of ourselves and our technologies might exist as latent evolutionary potential just within our reach. My perspective on evolution rejects the idea of a singular narrative or an ideal outcome. Instead, it's shaped by Buddhist philosophy, my meditation practice, and a commissioned conversation between poet Alexis Pauline Gumbs and biologist Kriti Sharma. In their dialogue, Gumbs reimagines the phrase, "May we evolve." It's an invitation to see evolution not merely as descent or natural selection, but as a relationship steeped in love, a love between the ancestral and the descendant, love that makes the impossible real. I believe that even machines are part of evolution, and that we can evolve with them in a way that is rooted in love and not fear. Gumbs describes evolution as both ceremony and science, an art form for a species in transition. This vision deeply resonates with me, inspiring the title of this exhibition, and as a koan that challenges our rigid notions of progress, identity, and the nature of being. It invites us to consider what new forms of evolution might emerge with just a small shift in our actions and decisions. The transformative power of small, seemingly inconsequential events is also a central theme in my work. Let's take the oxygenation of the planet Earth, where cyanobacteria, a form of algae, slowly released oxygen through photosynthesis. And this fundamentally transformed the planet's atmosphere, and it made terrestrial life possible. This gradual process, driven by countless tiny actions, illustrates how even the most minute contributions can collectively ignite revolutionary changes on a planetary scale. The varied timescales from the microbial and algal to the mycelial networks that silently sustain ecosystems have been a significant inspiration in my work. These networks operate on different rhythms, connecting life across vast distances and reminding us that transformation often unfolds through slow, unseen processes. My contemplation also extends beyond the biological and into the quantum field, where linear time dissolves and reality exists in a state of constant flux. This quantum perspective invites us to view evolution not merely as a biological process, but as something deeply intertwined with unseen forces. Through my work, I seek to bridge these diverse temporalities, offering new ways to consider existence, agency, and transformation. So in the last few years, I've been deeply fascinated by the concept of the kelp highway. It's a powerful metaphor for migration and ecological connection that demonstrates how small-scale, cumulative actions within ecosystems can reshape the world. The kelp highway hypothesis, so it suggests that pockets of these underwater forests spanning the Pacific Rim enabled prehistoric nomadic peoples to migrate from Eurasia to America, to the Americas rather. And in this way, they were island hopping along chains of ecological sweet spots. The kelp forests themselves, through their continuous growth, nutrient cycling, and the shelter they provided, it supported a complex web of life, ranging from fish and seals and urchins to otters. And they, in turn, sustain human migration across vast distances. Again, seemingly small actions within the ecosystem, such as the way kelp blades capture sunlight or how sea urchins graze on kelp. This created an environment teeming with resources. And over time, the accumulation of these biological processes forged a living pathway across the ocean, illustrating how the incremental actions of nature can drive monumental shifts in the course of history. And the Pacific Ocean, an enduring symbol of my upbringing in Southern California, now takes on an even more significant role as we enter what economists are calling the Pacific Century. This era has the potential to shift global attention and economic power away from the Atlantic, which has historically connected Europe and the Americas, toward the Pacific, which spans Asia and the Americas. This shift underscores the ocean's importance, not only as a geographical entity, but as a cultural and economic bridge between continents. In my work, the kelp highway serves as a symbol of mutual flourishing. It illustrates how networks of life establish themselves, sustain more life, and facilitate connections across regions, while also evolving in unexpected ways. For me, algae and kelp epitomize ecological resilience and adaptability, making them ideal mediums to explore themes of survival, cooperation, and evolution. The organic forms and textures in my kelp sculptures reflect the interplay between the ancient and the modern, while the inclusion of animatronic insects delves into the complex relationships between nature and technology. This theme is central to Another You, my latest project, where I engineer living bacteria to express a subtle palette of colors by incorporating the DNA from marine organisms like jellyfish and coral. These hybrid microorganisms, carrying the genetic legacy of the sea and the sea creatures, blur the boundaries between species and environments, forging new and unconventional forms of lineage and kinship. The lessons embedded in the Kelp Highway and the resilient lineage of marine life serve as a poignant reminder of the power of small interconnected actions to shape our collective future. My work invites viewers to contemplate these deep-rooted connections, encouraging a reevaluation of our engagement with both the natural world and the evolving technologies that increasingly define our lives. By merging the ancient with the contemporary and the biological with the synthetic, I'm aiming to inspire a renewed sense of wonder and responsibility, prompting us to consider how the seemingly inconsequential choices we make today might ripple outward, influencing the landscapes and legacies of tomorrow. Through this exploration, my art becomes not just a reflection on the past, but a call to action for the future, where collaboration between all forms of life, human and non-human, will determine the paths we forge together. This is a pivotal moment to apply ancient wisdom to contemporary technologies, fostering a more expansive awareness of our interconnectedness. Another new body of work in this exhibition introduces the concept of prehistoric biofiction. It's a speculative approach that challenges conventional narratives of deep time and evolutionary history. This concept builds on an existing technique in my practice coined by my MIT art historian, Carolyn Jones, as biofiction. And this biofiction involves using scientific data and discoveries to extrapolate reflections and speculations about the state of life on this planet. Unlike traditional historical accounts, prehistoric biofiction opens up multiple evolutionary pathways from the past, inviting us to reconsider alternative histories and futures that reshape our understanding of life and how it came to be. This approach suggests that whoever can reinterpret the past can potentially reshape the future. David Graeber and David Wengrow's The Dawn of Everything is an example of how you can serve a compelling example of how impactful these reinterpretations can be. Their book, which was researched primarily through indigenous scholarship, challenges the conventional narrative that social hierarchy, capitalism, and state systems are inevitable outcomes of human evolution. By presenting evidence of diverse forms of social organization in prehistory, many of which were non-hierarchical and did not revolve around accumulation or exploitation, they argue that human societies have always been more flexible and inventive than we traditionally believed. This rethinking of the past demonstrates that stories we tell about deep time not only inform our understanding of history, but also expand the possibilities for reimagining alternative futures. It's a profound reimagining of how life might have evolved under different circumstances, revealing new perspectives on our place in the natural world and our role in its ongoing evolution. My new series of wall sculptures, which what I'm calling the Precambrian panels, draws inspiration from the same epoch, which marks Earth's formation and spans over 80% of the geological record. This period offers a rich source for imagining untapped possibilities, as this was a time of brief evolutionary experiments, akin to abandoned sketches in life's history. What would Earth be like if more Precambrian species had survived? Would humans be different if we had descended from something other than Tiktaalik, one of the first vertebrates to transition from water to land? Or what if we came from Prototaxites, an ancient giant fungus instead? The Precambrian panels delve into these speculative evolutionary paths, portraying evolution as a chaotic process where countless possibilities exist. Ancient evolutionary trajectories collide with the impacts of human activity, such as plastic production, to create new technofossils in the Earth's geological history. This blending of ancient and modern fossil records underscores both the continuity and disruption in our planet's evolutionary timeline, highlighting the influence of human actions for the future of life on Earth. My engagement with prehistoric biofiction extends far beyond reinterpreting the past. It's fundamentally about envisioning new futures and encouraging humanity to reconnect with our ancient origins. By challenging conventional narratives, I seek to expand the possibilities of how we can perceive ourselves and our place within the broader ecological framework. This approach fosters a more expansive and holistic view of evolution, one that embraces the complexity, unpredictability, and fluidity inherent in life. Ultimately, my work invites us to explore the unknown, to embrace uncertainty, and to imagine new ways of being that align more harmoniously with the ever-changing nature of existence. Through this lens, my art becomes a space for contemplating not only what was, but what could be in the ongoing narrative of life on Earth. In recent years, my evolution as an artist has taken a radical and unforeseen turn, and it's led me down a path I never could have imagined. This transformation began during the lead up to In Love with the World at Tate Modern, my most ambitious project to date and a defining moment in my career. While the show's opening was a significant milestone, the overwhelming production demands quickly became oppressive. I found myself under immense pressure, feeling compelled to sacrifice my health and well-being for the sake of the art. The intensity of the project left me utterly depleted, teetering on the brink of life-threatening burnout. I had pushed my physical limits in the service of abstractions, ideas, and art. This experience was a stark wake-up call, compelling me to reassess every aspect of my work and my life. The burnout revealed that my workaholism wasn't merely a habit, but a coping mechanism that is deeply rooted in a persistent sense of inadequacy and a lifelong struggle to find my place in this world. In the aftermath, I realized I had to fundamentally change how I approached both my work and my life, not as an aspiration, but as a necessity for survival. But more importantly, for finding a reason to even want to survive. Because is survival even enough if all we do is suffer? During this critical period, I turned to Tibetan Buddhism and meditation, which offered me the only real respite from the psychological strain and emotional exhaustion. This practice became integral to my recovery, leading me to engage with life on a deeper, more holistic level, one that transcended mere intellectual understanding by reconnecting with my senses, emotions, and perceptions. Ironically, while my artwork has always embraced all the senses, not just the visual, my relentless pursuit of artistic excellence caused me to neglect my own sensory experience and enjoyment. So then I had to relearn how to live mindfully, connecting with the very sensory richness that my work has long celebrated. One of the most important lessons I learned during this time was the Buddhist concept of emptiness. It teaches that all phenomena, including the self, are empty of inherent existence. This profound realization that the self is not a fixed entity has become the cornerstone of my artistic practice. Emptiness in this context can open us to non-conceptual space. It's a realm not graspable in terms of knowledge because it exists beyond category or representation. yet it can be recognized through perception. It offers a breath-long distance and awareness from the torrent of overwhelming information we live in, and from the prior conditioning of our thoughts and emotions. This space allows for both personal and philosophical awareness. And so, inspired by this concept, I embarked on a new major project, a software aptly named Emptiness, which explores how art can transcend the physical and temporal boundaries of the artist's existence. Emptiness functions as a digital twin of my studio, an evolving entity that not only archives, but also generates new artworks, even in my absence. It combines simulation and machine learning to create a digital ecosystem where individual artworks and series can interact, evolve, and branch out into diverging pathways. The software mimics my creative style while pushing it into new and unexpected directions, generating 3D models, animations, and raw materials for painting compositions. Through this project, I aim to create a space where the concept of emptiness is not only understood, but experienced, where art becomes a vehicle for deeper awareness and the exploration of what lies beyond the graspable. One of the most notable works emerging from this project is my video piece, Each Branch of Coral Holds Up the Light of the Moon, which was developed using the Emptiness software. Serving as the inaugural piece of the broader Emptiness project, this video not only showcases the software's capabilities, but also vividly represents the digital space of emptiness itself. It invites viewers to consider how these digital beings exist and interact in a constant evolving virtual environment. The video's immersive soundtrack, featuring a meditative gong sound bath, punctuated by the glassy tones of bells and crystal singing bowls, further deepens this experience. This symbolic relationship between myself and the software extends beyond any single exhibition or artwork, functioning as a digital reflection of my entire artistic practice. My vision is for emptiness to eventually operate independently from me, evolving into a genuine artistic collaborator, a code-based thinking partner, an archivist, and a digital storyteller. Through this, I aim not only to preserve and advance my artistic practice, but also to challenge the boundaries between physical reality and higher states of consciousness, exploring how art can continue to exist and evolve without the direct involvement of the artist. Can art be instead a symbol of consciousness? This endeavor necessitates a loosening of the ego, as it raises implicit questions about the very nature of art and authorship. Does art need an artist to be created? If I can replicate my creative process in software, what remains uniquely me? And if my software surpasses my own abilities, does it then become my greatest competition? And does art require a physical body to locate it in a certain time and place? Or can art exist in a more quantum dimension? In this way, emptiness isn't merely a project, but a practice. It's a method of engaging with the world that embodies the principles of non-self and the fluidity of existence. By loosening the ego's grip, we open ourselves to a broader awareness of reality, allowing the work to access a more collective form of creativity and evolve independently of its creator. This invites a reevaluation of our assumptions around identity, authorship, and the nature of artistic creation. Art, like life, is a process of constant change and transformation. It's a dynamic interplay of forces that extends beyond the confines of individual existence. So embracing this concept allows us to view art as a dialogue between the self and the world, one that goes beyond individual expression and connects to the shared human experience, reflecting the interconnectedness at the core of our existence. This brings me to Metaspore, which is another new project of mine that is designed to challenge and transcend the traditional boundaries between art and science. Metaspore seeks to create a shared space where these disciplines can intersect, dissolve barriers, and harness uncertainty as a generative force. More than just as an initiative, Metaspore is a nomadic research research network dedicated to fostering dialogue across siloed knowledge systems. It nurtures an environment where diverse voices, disciplines, and perspectives converge, enabling the organic evolution of ideas and identities within the constraints of predetermined outcomes. Both in my artistic practice and within Metaspore, there is a deep commitment to embracing the unknown, recognizing its potential to drive innovation and transformation. This commitment resonates within the broader artistic community, where many contemporary artists are rethinking their roles, exploring new mediums, and expanding their visions across emerging fields such as machine learning, bioengineering, and decentralized economies. These avenues offer boundless possibilities, but also place significant demands on an artist's time, expertise, and resources. The rapid pace of technological advancement, combined with the expanding scope of artistic practice, presents considerable challenges that strain any individual's resources. However, this is where Metaspore's decentralized model excels, providing a sustainable framework for interdisciplinary collaboration. Within this model, the artist becomes a catalyst in a broader ecosystem, initiating and accelerating a creative metabolism that fuels innovation and discovery. Metaspore prioritizes a creative ecosystem over a singular outcome or the visionary leadership of any one individual. By consciously rejecting traditional power structures in both art and science, where authority often dictates the direction of inquiry, Metaspore invites participants to engage in a co-creative process that values collective intelligence and embraces the unknown over single authorship. It recognizes that the most profound transformations often occur when we step back and allow ideas to evolve in their own time, free from the constraints of linear thinking and hierarchical decision-making. As a living testament to the power of collective creativity, Metaspore exemplifies the intersection of art and science, creating fertile ground for innovation. It challenges us to rethink the artist's role, not merely as a creator of objects, but as a facilitator of knowledge, a connector of disciplines, and a provocateur of new ways of understanding. In the face of planetary paradigm shifts, the need for such interdisciplinary kinship is more urgent than ever. Metaspore offers a new paradigm of inquiry that is inclusive, adaptive, and continually transforming. A space where we can reclaim futures that seem depleted and bring them into the radical present. Ultimately, Metaspore is an invitation to explore the wild unknowns at the frontier of our current knowledge and the uncertain future. By embracing uncertainty and decentralizing knowledge, Metaspore aims to cultivate a creative ecosystem as dynamic and evolving as the ideas it seeks to nurture, fostering a new paradigm of inquiry that honors the complexity and interdependence of life. My ultimate goal is for Metaspore and my studio to function in harmony, not merely as spaces for dialogue and art creation, but as nomadic living laboratories that evolve in response to the ideas and materials that we explore. At various times, my studio has been transformed by the green glow of algae, the delicate presence of tiny snails, or the earthy scent of bacteria cultures. Each phase turns the studio into a new ecosystem, reflecting the themes and questions I'm grappling with. These living experiments embody the shared stakes and vulnerabilities of life and art, illustrating how we are all part of a larger, ever-evolving web of existence. Knowledge without the awareness of what we are truly thinking, doing, feeling, hearing, and seeing has limited value. It becomes merely an exchange, units of capital. I'm opening up to non-conceptual space, where we might finally let go and perceive things as they actually are, unfiltered by thoughts and beliefs or past conditioning. This approach is deeply influenced by my fascination with the intersection of art and science, and the mysteries that permeate both realms. Collaborating with biologists, chemists, and technologists helps me push the boundaries of what art can be, creating works that are dynamic, constantly evolving processes. Embracing uncertainty inherent in the experimentation leads to a heightened awareness of the multiplicity and unpredictability that defines life. Whether through the afterlife of art, the embrace of uncertainty, or the studio as a living lab, my work is a continuous exploration of existence's fluid, ever-changing potential. It dissolves boundaries, challenges fixed notions of identity, and creates new spaces where new possibilities can emerge. By engaging with these themes, I invite others to find urgency in the unknown and discover freedom in the constant evolution of life and art. I've been exploring what constitutes the self in relation to what comprises the human and how the concept of the human fails us at every turn. This concept has been at the heart of how we see ourselves and all other life or non-life around us. We can intellectually order and understand the world, but these ideas are just floating bits of information that can reinforce false beliefs about ourselves. Ultimately, they offer little real liberation from our suffering as entities in a world we barely understand, much less help us cope with ourselves or with others. This exploration of the unknown naturally extends to the cosmic scale, where the same laws that govern distant galaxies also dictate the workings of our cells. This profound realization links the microscopic to the macroscopic to the cosmic in a seamless continuum, revealing how deeply interconnected all aspects of existence are. Inspired by this understanding, I'm interested in delving into the intersections of biology and cosmology, fostering a new symbiosis between the living and non-living, the organic and artificial. My work reflects the shared stakes of all life, challenging human-centric perspectives and inviting us to see ourselves as integral parts of a vast cosmic web. This connection to the cosmos is particularly relevant in my work with algae, bacteria, and fungi. Organisms often invisible to the naked eye, yet foundational to life on this planet. These materials hold a deep history, having shaped Earth in ways we are only beginning to understand. By engaging with them, I explore deep time narratives that bind us to the cosmos, creating works that highlight the intricate web of life across time and space. In embracing the cosmic scale of existence, we gain a greater awareness of the continuum that unites all life, from microbes to galaxies. My return to Korea has been more than a physical homecoming. It's been a profound confrontation with identity, belonging, and uncertainty. Projects like Metaspore and the Emptiness Software embody my commitment to embracing fluidity and multiplicity in both art and life. The title of this exhibition, There Exists Another Evolution, but in this one, whether biological, cultural, or personal, is an ongoing, multifaceted process. Uncertainty is not a hindrance, but a vital source of creativity and new ways of being. As we navigate an ever-changing world, it's essential to challenge outdated notions of the self and identity that no longer serve us. By ventilating the ego and embracing uncertainty, we open ourselves to new possibilities, fresh perspectives, and ways of being that align with the complexities of our time. As Kathy Park Hong notes, silence can calcify into obstacles, barriers preventing us from seeing our true shared vulnerabilities. This ongoing transformation requires us to embrace the unknown, release our need for certainty, and trust in the process of evolution itself. Thank you.